All right, welcome. Today we're diving deep into a philosophy that draws this really sharp line between what it calls a divine, ancient language and, well, the languages that most of us speak every single day. This is a journey into how our words might be shaping our reality in ways we've never even thought about. So let's just jump right in with a question that gets to the absolute heart of how we communicate. I want you to think about the last time someone asked how you were. What did you say? And what did you really mean?
Yeah, we do this all the time, don't we? There's this gap between the words that come out of our mouths and what we're actually feeling inside. Well, this philosophy argues that this isn't just some social quirk. It's a fundamental flaw that's literally baked into the structure of our modern languages.
And that leads us straight to the first core idea here, the concept that modern languages have actually decayed over time, that they've become a source of confusion and what this philosophy calls barbarism. The thinking goes like this. Words in a language like English can have so many different, sometimes even contradictory meanings. And this ambiguity isn't a good thing. No, it's seen as a bug that creates this kind of mental static, a cognitive dissonance that just messes with our clarity and our well-being. And this goes way deeper than just a simple misunderstanding. The idea here is that the actual sounds, the vibrations of our words, have a real, tangible, energetic effect on us and on the people around us, for better or for worse. So, if our everyday languages are the problem, what's the solution? This brings us to a concept, a language referred to as MDU NTR. Now, MDU NTR isn't just presented as a different way of talking. It's framed as the original, uncorrupted source language, the one from which all these other dialects have splintered off and degenerated. It's described as a direct expression of nature itself. And don't for a second think this is some simple, primitive tongue. No way. It's a seriously complex system with over 700 distinct symbols. You've got sonograms, which represent sounds, and you've got ideograms, which represent entire concepts, all of it designed to communicate with absolute, total clarity. The big promise of MDU NTR really is harmony. The idea is, because it's directly tied to the principles of nature, it just eliminates confusion. It allows for communication that's perfectly clear and for thoughts that are perfectly aligned, and that creates a real sense of inner balance. Okay, so this brings us to the central conflict, the core duality in this philosophy. It sets up this really stark contrast between two ways of being, one that's in harmony with nature and another that's in a state of disconnection, which it labels barbarism. So what does barbarism actually mean here? It's not about being uncivilized in the historical sense. It's a state of mind. It's a culture that's just operating from a lower vibration, one that's driven by confusion, by materialism, and by a survival instinct that completely ignores natural and universal laws. And you can see the opposition laid out so clearly in this chart. On one side, you have a path of conscious connection, order, and elevation. And on the other, a path defined by disconnection, chaos, and degeneration. And according to this philosophy, the language you use is literally what determines which path you are on. So this is it. This is the crucial point, how it all circles back to language. The philosophy makes this incredibly powerful claim. The language we use isn't just a tool for communication. It is the fundamental code that shapes how we see and interact with reality. I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The very tools we use for our own inner monologue, our letters, our words, our grammar, they are the architects of our consciousness. They don't just express our thoughts, they create the very boundaries of what is even thinkable. Think about how wild that idea is for a second. It suggests that just by using a language that's seen as degenerated, a person is essentially locked into a barbaric worldview, whether they know it or not. To change your reality, you first have to change the code, the language you use to process it. So you can see the chain reaction here, right? It's a simple but powerful sequence. It starts with language as this foundational code. That code then sets the rules for our thoughts. And finally, those thoughts become our actions, our culture, our entire reality. And you might be thinking, this is all just abstract theory, but the philosophy points to the doggone people as a real-world example. In their culture, your job title, your status, it means nothing. Who you are is revealed by how you express yourself. Your words show everyone whether you're in harmony with nature or out of sync. So after all of this, where does that leave us? What are we supposed to do with this information? Well, the ultimate point of this philosophy isn't to create some system for judging other people. It's meant to be a tool for intense, personal self-examination. Wow, that really turns things on their head, doesn't it? Any judgment we throw out into the world is actually just a reflection of what's going on inside of us. The focus immediately shifts from blaming the world to understanding ourselves. And that brings us to the final personal challenge being laid down here. It's a call to stop and to listen, to really listen to the words we use and the thoughts we form, and to ask ourselves if they're creating harmony or if they're contributing to chaos. And that's the big, provocative question we're left with. Could the patterns of confusion or disconnection or destruction in our own lives and in the world be traced all the way back to something as fundamental as the words we choose to think and to speak? That's definitely something we're thinking about.